Cars. They're more than just machines to us. They're our companions, our therapy, but also the source of our frustration. We spend countless hours and dollars fixing them, making them better, faster, and more reliable. And for us Singaporeans, hundreds of thousands just to keep them on the road. Which is why it hurts so much more when it all goes terribly wrong.
Hey bro. Hey.
As you know, for us over at Concours as well as our friends, we love to hit the neighbouring Sepang racetrack every few months or so, bringing with us new upgrades and hopes of breaking our personal bests. But I wasn't free to tag along this time, so I left my cameras in the trusted hands of our detailer Daniel. Oh boy, this is gonna be a long one. With a Smoking 2 series providing some mid-journey entertainment, it seemed like it was gonna be a pretty uneventful drive up to catch up with the rest who are already in KL.
Hello there. You join me after a toll booth at Lingi, and I was gonna announce that I was gonna reach KL without issues for the first time, but I guess not. There's a little bit of a knocking sound that's coming from the engine bay. Not too sure what it is. I'm gonna check it after the engine cools down.
It was at this moment that I realized I had given my cameras to the only person who had never made it up to KL under his own power.
I'm currently waiting for a tow. It does not sound good. Seems like the sound, the knocking, is coming from the engine. The tow truck.
100 kilometers out of town and not a taxi in sight, we got one of our longtime partners and friend Devin, who was also heading to track with us, to pick up our stranded stand-in cameraman.
So, it's the next day, and it seems like the problem has been solved. So what happened was my belt tensioner was the one that was causing the racket. So in the end, what they said is that it might be solved. Asked me to come and test the car, and if all things goes well, then I'll see you guys at Sepang.
Mercifully, it was at this point that I was able to have Singh from Gilgo SG take over the camera and help out with filming the rest of track day. After doing what Singaporeans do best, stealing some Malaysian petrol, we headed to the track and made some final preparations.
Sam forgot his helmet, so he's borrowing Jaden's.
I'm stupid.
But he needs like kid-size helmet.
I race car.
Fun fact, this is my first time being on time to a track day.
It's very disgusting eh.
There's been quite a lot of updates since my last track day. Mainly aero, and I upsized my rims to 18, so let's see what improvements it makes.
What's the aim today, the timing?
Brake PB first, anything beyond that, we'll see how this car performs on track days. But I'm hoping for 2x now.
2x, okay.
And actually the main goal is no issues. So I've learned my lesson. I brought fire extinguisher.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully I don't need to use it but just in case.
Now I know I've been taking the piss at Daniel's camera skills, but this is no fault of his. His car was vibrating so hard that it shook the camera into zooming in. Now for you camera people out there, what you're looking at is after double in-camera image stabilization and post-software stabilization. So yeah, it gives you a sense of what it's like to be in there.
okay, not too bad, except for the Miata. It's only a 236.
It's the red Miata, man. Oh no, Concours mechanic.
Subpar. I'm always subpar. Everyone knows me as a subpar mechanic.
Now Sam is our head mechanic in the workshop, which also means he spends an inordinate amount of time working on his own car and perfecting it. John is arguably our group's best driver with experience driving on a multitude of tracks in a whole bunch of cars. So for the last few track days, he'd been partnering with Sam to beat a timing of 2 minutes 30 seconds for stock internal FD2 Civic Type Rs.
I'll tie him in.
Good shakedown, still just diving the car in. Now we're about to swap.
For some context, John managed a 231 on our last track day, and they were looking to be at least 230 this round, having come so close last time. The person you see in the passenger seat there is Jaden. You might have seen him in the previous Concours Track Day episode where he was very composed and managed a 241 in his RX-8. He's also one of the fastest drivers in the group, and he was working together with John to perfect the laps.
I think I'm getting too fixated on the goal and I'm pushing too hard. So I'm driving the pace of the car but not getting any extra result. So like sometimes I noticed that I turn in right and my steering angle is like it's a bit much, like 1.25 long. And then as I exit and I unwind a lot, right, it actually kind of grates and start turning in more after I reach that, that like a crossover point. One thing I don't quite understand about the fire tank, so on that side, right, it's still the same. The 3 outer blocks are almost consistent, almost identical temperatures. But this one is hot, cool, like hotter, cooler, hotter. Still got a lot of driver mod to do.
With John needing a break, Jaden hopped in to set a few laps and see if he could figure out how to break that 230 barrier. With Jaden not being able to find any additional time either, it seemed as if sub 230 was just off the cards for this track session. But determined, he gave it one more flying lap. The keen-eyed among you may have noticed that over there is second and not fourth. All we like to say is that mistakes happen, even to the best of us. But both ways, if you're squeamish, you might want to look away now.
Slide right. Wait, ask and check with Sam first. I'll check with everything else. I had one midship doing my run, but everything seemed fine. And Jaden had another midship I was doing his run.
What midship? Wait, but how come the steering is hard to turn?
Jaden and I had each of us had a moment where we mid-shifted, so the engine overran. It's very, very bad for the engine.
So does it need new engine?
Takes all the time. All the time.
The 6 that Sam mentioned in the video is actually referring to the ideal oil pressure that the car should be maintaining. It's a little hard to see from this video, but in the long high-speed corners of turn 5 and 6, it was dropping as low as 2.
I need a new engine. That's all I'm thinking about now.
Not every video has a happy ending, and unfortunately this isn't going to be one of them. Instead, it's a stark reminder that these cars that we bring to track are often the ones we use to get around from day to day. They are the cars that bring us to work, bring us to meet our friends, the ones that need to bring us 400 kilometers back home. As Singaporeans, owning one car at all is often a luxury, which is why the solution of having a track car isn't really practical for us. No matter how much we do to prepare our cars and make them more reliable, there's always that risk that they won't make that journey back home in one piece. But again and again, it's a risk that we take, all for the passion we have for things four-wheeled and petrol-powered.